I didn't think I'd be talking about this today, but this year's been pretty fucking crazy, all things considered, so who knows what might happen next. Um, so you guys, if you've been on the internet for 2 seconds lately, you would have seen that a lot of people are talking about the new Jubilee surrounded video. I mean, it's not technically new anymore, they just released a few new episodes, but I thought I'd hop on this bandwagon and see how many views I can get out of it. So, um, we're just gonna jump straight into it. So, you've probably seen
Nice to meet you.
this guy around a lot, and this guy's name is Connor. We're gonna be talking a lot about Connor. Um, but we're gonna start off straight. So, politically speaking, I'm gonna be exposing myself pretty hard here, and that's okay because I don't care. Um, it's pretty fundamental for me to get my voice out there on this situation if we're going to be talking about it at all. So, first off, my stance: I am a Republican, but I'm very progressive. I'm very old school Republican because the original idea of Republican is that they were very free speech heavy, very anti-slavery. They were very much like you can be your own person. You're an independent, free agent, doing your own thing. Just live your life how you want to live it. Um, and so I align myself pretty hard with that. I'm also very progressive because most people now, when they think of Republican, they're like, "Oh, you're a white nationalist, right?" But that's not my stance. I'm very GOP, Great Old Party, or Grand Old Party, sorry. And so with this particular instance, I find that free speech. First off, I think free speech and freedom of expression is not only vital but an absolute necessity in a country, in any given government or state of union. I think without free speech, we are going to go in a very bad direction. I think censorship is one of the worst things we can do. And I think, and this comes in pretty soon. I think fascism's bad. I know I'm very brave for saying it. I know it's a very hot take right now, but fascism's kind of bad. Also think that discrimination's pretty bad. This will also come into play. I don't think that we should be discriminating upon anyone based on their race, gender, sexual orientation, culture, ethnicity, background, whatever you may have. We're all born equally, and I'll die on that hill. So, I love to surround myself with political information and resources on my free time. Like when I'm editing videos, I'll have like a surrounded video like this playing on the background, or I'll be listening to debates because I think it's very interesting to sort of pull in others' perspectives so I can build upon my own view of the world and of the government and etc. I was watching this. I watched this the day it came out, and I was utterly shocked by this one guy. There's a lot we could break down in this video. This whole video is very concerning in terms of the modern MAGA stance. I'm very anti-MAGA, by the way. Very anti Trump administration. And I'm very anti-white nationalist. By the way, white nationalism, I'm sure most of you know what white nationalism is, but I think it's important to understand the source of, or rather the definition of white nationalism because of what good old boy Connor says here in a second. White nationalism is the very adamant belief that the white race is in some way more important or more superior to every other race, that they deserve special benefits because you're white. And it goes much further in depth, but that is the like baseline definition of white nationalism. So our good old boy Connor here walks up to answer our boy Medi's prompt here. I haven't seen too much on Mehdi Hazan. I'm kind of interested to watch some of his stuff now. This is my first exposure to him. And Mehdi's statement was Donald Trump has defined the Constitution. And this is where things kind of heat up. It gets really interesting. So let's just see how Connor opens up with this whole prompt and where he leads into it.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Mehdi, lovely to meet you.
So I would say that with Trump being anti-Constitution, I don't really care, to be quite frankly.
Okay.
Because in regards to the Constitution is a document that should seek to serve us.
Yes.
And when it fails to seek to serve us, that can be amended. Laws can be changed. And quite frankly, the fact is, we're defending things in this country that shouldn't be defended. The First Amendment should not defend pornography and making children and women be victimized. Making women and children be victimized as a result of that. I think things like blasphemy shouldn't be allowed per the First Amendment. I think that, quite frankly, there are a lot of legal processes that are enabling criminals and bad people to fully enact their will in this country in the name of the Constitution or following the Constitution. So
I'm gonna be pausing a little bit here, but like just straight off the bat, we're getting into very, very big territory. So his very first statement is that he doesn't care if Trump is violating the Constitution, because as he states, which this is the one thing I agree with him on, the Constitution exists to serve the people. That is true, but I don't think taking away free speech is at all serving the people. Taking away the First Amendment, the right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression, is the easiest one-way street towards a failing country. And he immediately jumps into that with pornography and blasphemy. So immediately there we can understand there's no separation of church and state in his mind. We can kind of gather that this guy is, and I can't remember if it's later, he self-proclaims himself as a Catholic. And so right away, we can understand he's got religious bias, and he's basing his ideologies upon this sort of what you could argue to be an anti-American stance, because he's already violating the basic fundamentals of what America was built upon. That being, like, one of the major reasons that the Founding Fathers made America was, and we'll get to this later as well, Big Mean King said, I'm gonna kill you if you defy me, and also I'm gonna tax all you bitches. So they went and they said, hey, what if we made our own country where that didn't happen and we can, like, be free people? So right away, we're, like, immediately going into the, we're starting to dip our toes into the anti-America stance. So let's continue. Let's see how he continues this.
Quite frankly, if Trump is anti-Constitution, good, and I think he should go further.
So this is wonderfully revealing of the modern conservative mindset. So I appreciate you spelling it out so openly. Just checking, do you support the Second Amendment?
I do.
Okay, surprise! I was shocked to hear that. I'm saying that Donald Trump is defying the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. He's thinking of defying the 12th and 22nd Amendments. You're saying you don't care about the Constitution, but actually you do, because you quite like the Second Amendment. You just don't like the bits that you disagree with. Can I just be clear on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm more than willing to amend it and include
whenever
the
it's in
Second
your
Amendment.
favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So can Democrats do the same when they're in office?
No, absolutely not. Because
So you don't
it's the
believe in
friend enemy.
democracy?
No, I don't. Absolutely not.
What do you believe in?
Autocracy.
By who?
Honestly, quite frankly, anyone who is in line with Catholic teaching.
Donald Trump is not Catholic.
Of course, he's not. I completely agree, and that's part of the problem.
You don't support Trump?
No, I don't. I didn't even vote for him. I wrote in like John Pork or someone. I can't even remember.
Why did you vote if you don't believe in democracy and you want autocracy?
Well, because quite frankly, I voted. I kind of voted just to.
I came with this argument, but I'm bored of my own argument. I'm much more interested in this. So
yeah, absolutely.
How do we get to an autocracy?
I think, quite frankly, that if we are able to enact local leaders.
Who is the we, by the way?
I think, quite frankly, these far-right conservatives sitting right around
White
me.
people?
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
brown So,
Well,
some
actually,
of you guys,
I have quite.
some of the people in this room don't make the cut from what I can see visually.
Actually, hold on for a moment. I do think that there are people who happen to not be white who do actually have history in this country and have roots in this country. For instance, from the Mexican-American War, we subsumed a lot of territory of people who have far stakes in this country who happen to be Hispanic or what have you. I'm for defending the traditional demographics of this country, which is majority white, and it should stay that way.
How does the United States? I mean, we've gone so off topic, but how does the United States?
Immediately, white nationalism. We can see that very blatantly. Especially when he says, let's go back for a second here.
I'm for defending the traditional demographics of this country, which is majority white, and it should stay.
Traditional demographics held by majority white. There's in his vocabulary, and yes, he did mention the Mexican-American world, which we'll get to in a sec. In his vocabulary, there is not an ounce of support towards what am I trying to say? Sorry. There's not an ounce of support towards empowerment and strength in anyone that's non-white. Now, according to him, with the Mexican-American world, let's go back to that.
Actually, hold on for a moment. I just are able to enact. Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
well, actually, I have quite.
Some of the people in this room don't make the cut from what I can see visually.
Actually, hold on for a moment. I do think that there are people who happen to not be white who do actually have history in this country and have roots in this country. For instance, from the Mexican-American War, we subsumed a lot of territory of people who have far stakes in this country who happen to be Hispanic or what have you. I'm for defending the traditional demographics.
So he acknowledges that there are individuals of non-white race with history and stakes in this country. With this, specifically, he mentions the Mexican-American world, which if you know anything about history, in the 1800s, we were not the nicest to the Mexicans. And we were like, hey, we're gonna kill you all and take your land. So we did. And we have a lot of Native American and Mexican American history in this country, and he mentions and acknowledges that, but he does not specifically say that he's for giving them power or ability in Connor's America. That never gets brought up. In Connor's America, it is the sustaining of the traditional white American and their ideologies and beliefs. This is where we're going to get into the fascism very quickly. And my fucking chair keeps deflating. I need a new chair, but they're all like $300 for a good one. So immediately, this is just so anti-American. And let's just get into that autocracy that he mentioned. So, autocracy, for those who don't know, is a system of government with absolute rule by one person. So, if you have an autocrat, like let's just say like fucking I don't know, John from accounting becomes an autocrat, right? And John from accounting doesn't like his boss. And John from accounting says, "Hey, you screw me out of a bonus. Guards, go get me my boss and kill him in front of me." John from accounting now has absolute power and can make that call, and that call will happen because he is an autocrat. Giving that level of power with no limits to somebody in any circumstance is extremely dangerous, and is exactly what the founding fathers did not want for America. They came to America, they came to the place that would be America, and they're like, hey, we hate the king because the king, you can argue all you want that monarchy has separate ability from autocracy, and I believe that monarchy is very much much more controlled than autocracy in a significant amount of ways. There's no denying that. but you cannot deny parallels of a man who believes predominantly it was it King Henry the Seventh? I can't remember. Hi, so in hindsight of editing this video, I was incredibly off as to which king inspired the American Revolution. I apologize in advance. You're going to be hearing me call him King Henry. It was King George III. So ignore my reference to King Henry and replace it in your mind with King George. Thank you. We stay to the facts, people. King Henry VII, or just one of the King Henrys, he was very much the entirety of monarchies is instilled that leader by monarch, king, queen, emperor, all of which fall under the idea of divine rule. You are chosen by God to rule with whatever stance you may take. So you have divine let me rephrase. You have divinity repping for you, right? You can say, well, God said that I'm the leader now, so I'm gonna tax all of you and kill whoever I want. And that's specifically what they want to avoid. And autocracy is the most extreme version of similar to that, where you can say, I don't like things the way they are, so I'm going to make them in my vision and no one can stop me whatsoever. This is how it's going to be. So right away, we see that Connor's blatantly not in stance with the American idea, with the original founding of America. He's very clearly not American, because if he was American and pro-America, he wouldn't be saying these things. He wouldn't be blatantly defying the original idea of America by saying we should have an autocracy. We should have someone with absolute divinity and power. We should be getting rid of free speech. We should be getting rid of freedom of expression, things like this. And we should sustain what boils down to white nationalism. That's very, very concerning. And continuing on, I believe now is when we start getting into Karl Fritz, I believe is his name.
Of this country, which is majority white, so and it should stay that
how
way.
How does the United States... I mean, we've gone so off topic, but how does the United States look like under you? Sorry, what's your name?
My name is, my name's Connor. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Took a little bit of a doubt there.
Oh, well, I use a pseudonym online.
Fair enough.
But fair enough.
How would Connor's America look? What would it look like?
Well, quite frankly, I think we would deport people who shouldn't be here.
No, I didn't ask about deporting. What does the government look like?
What does the government look like?
Yeah.
I would say, quite frankly, it's under a sort of benevolent leader, such as
Where does he
Franco.
come from?
It could be a kind of aristocratic class. Could be someone
who picks the autocrat?
Frankly, the people. I mean, we could hold a vote on it. Kings were
isn't that democracy?
Well, sure. You can have a vote to get to that state.
And then no more votes afterwards?
Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Wow. And if that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills, because that's the whole thing.
How do you know?
Carl Schmitt
Autocrats tend to kill everyone,
Carl
even their own
Schmitt makes
supporters.
this point very well in his work. It's the friend-enemy distinction, right?
Carl Schmitt, the Nazi theoretician.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care.
Carl Schmitt, not Karl Fritz. My mistake.
Are you a fan of the Nazis?
I frankly don't care being called a Nazi at all.
I didn't say that. I didn't actually say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
Well, they persecuted the church a little bit. I'm not a fan of that. But
what about the persecution of the Jews?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't support anyone's human dignity being assaulted. I'm a Catholic.
But you don't condemn Nazi persecution of the Jews?
I think that there was a little bit of persecution.
We may have to rename the show because you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you can say, I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
I'm just checking who's clapping, just to get myself where everyone is on this.
Okay. A little bit to break down there. So he brings up Carl Schmitt, the Nazi theorist, and obviously, I feel like taking a stance with the ideologies of a Nazi is already a major red flag. but then to go on and self-proclaim that you are in fact a fascist. And on top of that, mention Frank Franco, which this is a fun one. So we'll get into Frank Franco in a second. But Frank Franco was a known fascist who was not a very chill person. That's the nicest way I can say it, but let's continue.
Because you know that millions of people are going to be watching you on YouTube and checking out who the fascists and the Nazis are.
I'm not ashamed of that whatsoever.
No, clearly you're not.
During the pre-war period, prior to World War II, it was only those parties that properly enacted the people's will. That's why they won. The conservatives were fat cats. Are you in
favor of killing people who aren't like you?
Quite frankly, I'm not.
You mentioned Franco earlier. Franco killed a lot of innocent people.
Oh, well, he killed communists. He killed people who raped nuns and killed priests.
What about children who he killed and women who he killed?
What are you talking about? He never killed any women or children. He was Catholic,
He only killed combatants. Is that what you're claiming?
Yeah, he only killed combatants.
Never killed it.
Thank you, Straight Arrow News, for this fact check. I love Straight Arrow News. Frank Franco, very big fascist who was dubbed the White Terror because of how dictatorial he was. And how vicious and cruel he was responsible for the death and execution of 150,000 people. That includes members of the Catholic clergy who were deemed either liberal or loyal to the Spanish Republic. Frank Franco did not give a fuck who he was killing. He cared about his power and his dignity. And we'll see in a sec where Connor just openly says, "Oh, I love Frank Franco. He was great." Frank Franco was also very anti-Semitic. He was he had I don't know the extent of his relationship with the Nazis during World War II, so I won't comment too far on it. However, I do know that he held a sustained relationship with the fascist, tyrannical Nazis in World War II for an extended period of time. In fact, in 1939, he specifically made a speech where he made anti-Semitic remarks towards Jews and tried to paint this picture as the war being against Jews. Which, in regards to, Poland and Germany and a lot of other places during the time, it could be considered that, but Frank Franco depicted in this light of, oh, well, it's this war to eradicate the Jews. It's this war to cleanse, right? I'm gonna fact check myself on that later, because I don't know if I'm misremembering. So, Straight Arrow News, my own fact check, like wherever in editing. But it is extremely concerning that he brings up Frank Franco at all, along with Carl Schmidt.
The White Terror was only punishing those people who did acts of terrorism. And again, are you supporting like raping innocent women? Nuns, dude. Killing priests? I mean, priests don't brandish guns and kill people.
You just refuse to condemn the Nazi Holocaust, my friend. I don't think you're in a position to ask anyone any questions.
I quite frankly don't care what you think about me. If I'm a Nazi and being a Nazi
is mutual,
if being a Nazi means upholding human dignity, because I even believe in your dignity. I don't in a state that I was running, I wouldn't want to hurt you or anything like that. But quite frankly,
I don't debate fascists.
Okay. So do you concede then? I mean, why?
Do I concede you're a fascist who won't condemn the Nazis?
Yeah.
Yes, I concede that.
Okay, great. So I mean, what are we doing here? Because I mean, you just seem offended.
What you're doing here,
you just seem offended, to be quite frankly. Like,
I'm offended by people who can't condemn the Nazis. Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I condemn the evils that they did, but I don't really care about being. Yeah, sure. I don't care about being called a Nazi. Sure. Is the whole thing.
I never called you a Nazi.
I care about doing the right
a Nazi,
thing.
A fascist, and a General Franco supporter.
Well, yeah, I am a General Franco supporter. He was awesome. He was so super cool, quite frankly. Because the whole thing.
And you don't believe in democracy.
I don't believe in democracy.
What are you doing here at a televised debate? This is democracy. Don't want to debate and disagreement.
Because it is the means to support an end. The reason we have free speech now is because we want to be openly talking about our opinions so we can get the state that we want. But it doesn't mean upholding free speech after we win. Again, I mentioned
the only good thing about this fascist moment we're in is that you guys are so open about it.
The whole reason I mentioned I mentioned Carl Schmidt earlier, and you kind of blew past him, is the friend-enemy distinction. Even liberals, when they take power, they want to enact policies and they want to enact protections protections for their people and their ideas, and they're willing to punish their enemy. And so I'm the same way. I'm like, hey, if you're going to punish me, I'm going to get in power, and I'm going to frankly punish you when you try to leverage power against me. Just that simple.
I'm not sure what you want to say.
Hey, it is what it is.
All right, pause.
You can see just the level of uncomfortability that people had, like her face, and then going back. Where was he? Like this guy is like, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't know why with this guy, but aside from the point, so notice how, and I love when people do this because they'll dance around the fucking subject so well. It's actually fascinating. So Mehdi has to pressure him. He's like, he asks, like, the very first time he asked, do you condemn the Nazis for what they did to the Jews? And then he says, oh, well, I don't agree with what they did. I don't think anyone's dignity should be violated. And then Mehdi presses him further. Do you disagree with the persecution of the Jews by the Nazis? And then he just goes, yeah, sure. How are we supposed to take yeah, sure as your dignified answer after using Carl Schmitt and Frank Franco, who you just praised as being, oh, I love General Franco. And then you say, oh yeah, sure, I agree to whatever the hell you just said. Never once did he just outright say, I condemn the Nazis for the genocide and the Holocaust and the persecution of the Jews. Never said anything in that regard or in any specific way pertaining to that. Never said outright, even in the simplest manner, I condemn the Nazis for the persecution of the Jews. Never said it. And for those of you who may be like, oh, well, he said, yeah, sure. You can say I could say yeah, sure to anything and be like, yeah, sure doesn't mean anything. That's a very empty reply. Because I feel like when you say it in that sense, you can kind of get away with it. You can be like, oh well, I said yeah, sure, so I condemn them, right? But he never actually said it, and I won't get into it later. Or I won't get into it in this video, but later on we see a man who's talking about fucking words. We see a man who is talking about Hamas and was it Palestinian or Israel? I can't remember, but he was pro Israel, I believe. And, I'm just gonna watch it and just see where he was at with it. Because I genuinely forgot where his stance was.
Gaza. So your argument makes no sense.
Are there any? Yeah. What do the Jews, Christians, and pagans? You need some serious re-education.
They do to it was another 12 years before the Islamic Republic makes the world.
All right. So what's Hamas there?
Hamas did not exist till the 1980s.
Exactly. My point is, after the Islamic Republic came, it became chaotic because the Islamic Republic has started to use the so-called innocent Palestinians for their own
so-called innocent Palestinians. You don't think Palestinians are innocent?
Not all of them.
Because what about the 17,000 children who were killed?
They're doing the
17,000 children were killed. Were they not innocent? Were they not innocent?
Who's responsible for that?
Israel, who dropped the bombs on
Hamas is responsible. Hamas is responsible for hiding in hospitals and making tunnels underneath those hospitals.
So when children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers not responsible for that?
Look,
it's a simple question.
Here's the problem.
When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in Gaza in the head, as eyewitness testimony and doctors' testimony proves, that's not the fault of the Israeli snipers.
This is the problem, because when you have
the problem is you won't answer the question. I'll ask you a third time. When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in the head, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
Well, you gotta let me finish.
No, you got to answer the question. Fourth time.
Well,
when Israeli
I will
snipers
get to
shoot
your answer.
Palestinian children in the
I
head.
will get to your
We're running out of
answer.
time. I need to know what you think about innocent children.
because I will
what
get
you
your-
said was pretty outrageous. You said
I will
so-called
get to your answer.
innocent Palestinians. For the fifth time, when Palestinian children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers, is that not the fault of Israeli
What did those
snipers?
children do? What did
you
they do?
tell me? Did the children deserve to be shot in the head?
Because the problem is,
you
over
know,
there,
millions of people are watching you say
they
to
start
justify the
brainwashing
killing of
children. They start brainwashing children at a very young age.
So you support
Exact same-
sniping children in Gaza?
Look,
do other people here support sniping children in
Look.
Gaza? Is that a conservative position now?
What if they're wearing a suicide vest?
They weren't.
But what if they are?
They're not, though.
What
Dozens
if
of
they
children.
are?
I have friends who
What-
went there. Doctors went to
what
Gaza.
if-
American doctors. They came back as we had multiple children.
What if
with
they're
gunshot
hell bent?
shots.
What if they're hell
What if
bent
they're
on
not?
killing you and your family?
A 10-year-old child, an 8-year-old child, a 6-year-old child.
They're- Because
This is
like I
bad
said,
for you.
like
You're
said,
sitting on
they're
live
brainwashing
television
them. They're
where millions of people are going to see your neighbors, your
because
friends.
millions
you
of
support
people,
the killing of
millions
children.
of people don't know what's going on.
Even your fellow right-wingers are saying, don't go this far. White
Millions-
genocide, sure, but don't advocate
Millions of
killing
people
kids.
don't understand the brainwashing that is going on in Islamic.
He never, ever says, I don't condone shooting kids. Never says it. He dodges it in every way possible, and it's the same way with Connor. He was like, oh no, he dodges the question with the, this guy was more extreme about it because he just kept trying to dodge it, like, straight up. Connor was like, oh no, you know, I don't want to agree with the Nazis with what they did, but he never specifically said, I condemn them for the persecution of the Jews. He never said that. And a lot of you would say, well, if he said, you know, he didn't agree with the Nazis, wouldn't that be enough? And I would say normal circumstances, maybe. But this isn't a normal circumstance because Connor just used the example of Frank Franco and Carl Schmitt, a Nazi theorist, and just proclaimed himself a fascist. So we are not in a position to assume that he's anti-Nazi with our pre-established understanding of what Connor is saying. And then to blow it off with yeah, sure, instead of saying it, that's very concerning. We can't assume that he means that because he just spent the last how many minutes trying to dodge that question, and then when he realized he couldn't just go around it, he decided to just go through it with the most neutral, bland answer possible. This is extremely concerning, and to be completely honest, I'm very, very concerned with the way that America is headed. And I'm just utterly shocked by this. And my closing thing here that I want to talk about is a lot of people online, and this is the entire point of making this video. Is I have a little statement to make here. A lot of people online are saying that Jubilee needs to stop making videos altogether. That this is bad, and showing and giving platform to people like Connor is a very bad thing because you're giving them exposure. And you're giving these people with very blatantly racist and fascist ideologies a bit of exposure and attention that they should not deserve. I disagree. I think what Jubilee is doing is actually really, really good, and I'll tell you why. I feel like ignoring the fact that something exists is it's what we call ignorance and bliss. We don't want to acknowledge that these kinds of people exist, but they do exist. And the longer that we don't acknowledge them and we try to push them out of our sight and we try to pretend like they don't exist, the worse it's going to get because they're going to start festering, they're going to start growing, and they're going to start influencing more people in a much more low-key way. You give these people a spotlight and you shine it on their stupid faces and you say, hey, this guy right here, this guy's a fascist. This guy's a white nationalist. This guy sucks. Don't be like him. We're trying to learn from this experience. We're trying to show you what it's like to be in the wrong. Because yes, people like Connor are in the wrong. No, fascism's not good. No, Frank Franco wasn't good. No, I don't want to align with Carl Schmitt. And to blatant and autocracy as well. Like, everything that Connor is claiming here is blatantly wrong, and I will die on that hill. We should not be pretending like these people don't exist. Because when people like this, especially in the modern day, when people like this come out and say this stuff, 99% of the time, if they get exposure, like mass exposure like Connor did here, they're not going to be received well. And we've seen that. You know, I would argue majority of people would see what Connor's saying and be absolutely mortified. And we need to shine that spotlight on these people so that we can provide a lesson for our future generations and our generations in the now, saying, hey, this is bad, don't be this way, don't be like this. So I don't think taking away Jubilee's videos or stopping them from making videos further on is a good idea. I think what Jubilee is doing is great, because it's sparking conversation, it's sparking self-reflection, introspection, and it's sparking awareness of where our country's headed and the types of people in our country that we need to be aware of. And so that's really why I've been ranting for 40 minutes, actually, is because I think that Jubilee is actually doing a great thing here. So, yeah, that's my one political rant. Who knows if I do more. I was not expecting to ever do a political rant on my channel, but I saw this and all the shit that was coming from it. It's like, you know, it might as well happen. Because I'm very involved in the political climate of America. I might as well get my voice out there. So, ride that bandwagon, people. Thank you for watching. If you somehow enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, or don't. I'm not your dad, and catch you in the next one. See you, bros.